Well, the League Cup holders needed to overturn a one-goal deficit here at Anfield tonight, and they did that, and then some. Cody Gakpo with the first, and after Darwin Núñez was brought down, Mo Salah took that penalty to make it 2. Szoboszlai added a third, and then from a corner, just like he did in the final 12 months ago, the captain rose highest to get the fourth. And they win 4-0 on the night and 4-1 on aggregate. And it kind of felt, really, didn't it, like it was never in doubt?
It was never in doubt before the game. It was Tottenham. When did Tottenham ever win a big game? When did Tottenham ever go somewhere and surprise you and, win against the odds? The odds were massively in favour of Liverpool. They're at home at Anfield. They're the best team in the country, possibly the best team in Europe right now. But it's not just this Spurs team. It's just... They never shock you. They never do something out of the ordinary. I'm trying to think the last big game they won. And I'd probably have to go back to that Ajax game in the semi-final of the Champions League. And I was in the stadium that night. And I don't want to take nothing away from Tottenham. They're very lucky. They got battered for most of the game. And a bit of a freak. I think they got 2 goals in the last minute. But whenever they go into a big game as a football club, no one ever believes they're going to win. And that's not me as a Liverpool fan. Those Tottenham fans there tonight, not one of them will have believed that they'd have gone home and they'd have gone to Wembley. They just won't.
Isn't it strange that Liverpool put 4 past them? Liverpool are in the final, and there is no doubt amongst the group here that Tottenham are the story.
Yeah, I think because we just expected a bit more from them tonight. I just cannot get my head around not having one shot on target in a semi-final. I know the one half chance when Son manufactures something, great step over and then hits the bar, but even then you just felt the game had gone for them. And I just couldn't. I just think when you set the, you come into a semi-final, and I know it's always difficult. You're 1-0 up and you come to Anfield, and we all talk about the pressures and the noise and everything that goes around it. But I just felt first half they're trying to play it from the back. The goalkeeper's edgy. In midfield, they never showed any courage to get on the ball and make things happen. They were so abject. And it wasn't the inexperienced players, it was the experienced ones that I was looking at thinking, well, go on and lead the team. Son's your captain, show something, show some character, get on the ball. Kulusevski, nothing. And I think it's too easy to say, well, yes, they have had injuries. They've absolutely, Van der Ven. I say less about Romero because I think I watch him enough and he can give away a lot of goals when I watch him. But Van der Ven is obviously a big miss. But there's still enough players there to cause Liverpool some problems. I've seen squads beaten Tottenham lately. I look at Ipswich. Do you think Ruud van Nistelrooy would have loved to have had that Tottenham squad beforehand, but they still get beaten by Ipswich? Crystal Palace beat them. There's so many different games. I know you did the Everton game not long ago, Jamie. Everyone seems to find a way of beating this Tottenham side. And I think the manager right now, he baffles me with his tactics sometimes. I think he's completely lost in what he's trying to do. He said, this is what I do. You have to adapt. You have to change. And if you haven't got the personnel that you want, then you have to make sure that your tactics are different. You look at what Newcastle did yesterday. Eddie Howe showed a way of beating an Arsenal side by going man-to-man, being aggressive. Newcastle will not give the respect that what Tottenham gave them today. And I know Newcastle are a better side, but they're more aggressive and they'll get on the front foot. Tottenham showed them miles too much respect today.
Do you think that's... Listen, we've all been critical of the manager, me going back to the 6-3 game. But when I look at those 3 midfield players today, I thought they were a disgrace. Those Tottenham midfield players. But no matter who your manager is, you're playing a semi-final. We're talking about them getting on the ball, but we all come into this game, and if you're a Tottenham man, first 15 minutes, half an hour, Liverpool are going to be on the goal, going to put you under pressure. But get after them, be aggressive. Forget the ball the first half an hour. Be aggressive, even if you camped in your own half, it was still so easy for Liverpool to get to the edge of the box and just
I think this is where they're at the moment. I've seen them.
What does that mean when they're where they are? I'm just not
how bad they are, how poor they are. I saw them against Everton. They got blown away 3 in the first half. Played Leicester last week, and you're thinking Leicester turn up to the Tottenham Stadium. Surely they can't win. They hadn't won in 7, lost 7 on the bounce, and they come and do. Spurs have got this performance in them, and that's why I came here and I said for Spurs to go through, they had to play to their level. And Liverpool had to have an off night. And it couldn't be any worse. It went the other way. Liverpool absolutely hounded them all over the park.
But pre-match,
were far superior to
pre-match, we're all saying, actually, that looks like quite a physical Tottenham team there. They brought Dawson in, that midfield 3. We're all saying, it looks like a physical team. but it wasn't a physical team.
Well, I think he picked that team thinking, OK, we're not going to come here for how we've criticised Ange Postecoglou. Let's not forget, we've called him naive at times, putting, you know, full-backs into midfield, leaving themselves open. That looked like a team that was picked before the game, that was actually saying, you know what, we're going to try and make it difficult for Liverpool. We're going to go with powerful players, no number 10s, just 3 proper central midfield players. So this, in terms of actually getting on the ball, yes, they lost the ball for the first goal, but I thought that was a team to try and stop Liverpool and nullify Liverpool. And I think, well, OK, that's what most teams would probably do, come into Anfield with a 1-0 lead. But those midfield players didn't even put a challenge in.
So easy to play against them.
Oh,
so easy.
Oh, shocking.
But bearing in mind, when we were at Newcastle last night, one of the things that was specifically said to us by Eddie Howe and Kieran Trippier, amongst others, we knew we had to go out and be physical and get in their faces.
Get into them. I think that was a massive banner behind
It was, yeah.
In the Gallagher end, saying get into them, make it difficult for them, set the tempo, and that's always a thing that you have to do here. And I totally get the game now where you have to play out from the back, but there are times, and more than any place in world football right now, this isn't a place to do it. The keeper gets the ball, he's passing it to his left back or right back. They're playing out, they're trying to play into midfield, they're losing the ball, you're asking for pressure. It wasn't working. So then you have to think, all right, well, why don't we then clip one into the space? You've got Son who's quick enough, you've got Kulusevski or you've got Richarlison trying to get hold of something. Oh, Virgil van Dijk was too strong for Richarlison, but maybe try something else, maybe come up against the other centre-back, Konate. But they were just playing into Liverpool's hands. Liverpool wanted that game, and that's exactly what Tottenham gave them. And it was just, you cannot keep doing that. It's just a sign of madness when you keep making the same mistakes.
Let's hear from the Tottenham manager. Here is Ange Postecoglou.
Ange, was that scoreline pretty much a reflection of where the two teams find themselves at this moment in time? Liverpool obviously had full strength. You yourselves are finding it quite difficult and challenging with the squad that you have to work with at the moment.
Yeah, I guess so. But ultimately, you know, though Liverpool fully deserved the victory tonight, they were a far better team. We just weren't able to get a grip on any part of the game, defensively or with the ball, and yeah, they were too good for us.
They were relentless, weren't they? And it was just wave after wave of constant pressure.
Yeah, we allowed them to get into the game. We just weren't as aggressive as we needed to be. You know, again, I just think we didn't start the game off on the right footing, allowed them to get comfortable, and you know, once they got comfortable, it was very difficult then for us to wrestle that control back.
Would you have liked to have seen more from your players? You talk about aggression. Was the courage missing as well? Perhaps maybe a little bit of bravery?
Yeah, we definitely needed to be braver with and without the ball. Yeah, it's easier said than done at a place like this against a very good Liverpool team at the moment. To in a good spell of form for very settled. But it's what we needed to do, and we didn't do it.
I know it was a difficult challenge as it was to come here, but there was some decision makings as well. And I noticed, you know, you stayed in your technical area throughout. You were trying to remain positive, but there were some times when you were shaking your head the moment the penalty was conceded, and when that was scored as well. Were those sort of more disappointing moments for you, the decision making?
No, look, I mean, obviously, you know, we didn't have a great first half. We were very much in the game, and you know, we kind of knew that sort of first 15, 20 minutes we had to keep it really, you know, solid in terms of our decision making, and yeah, to give them a second goal was disappointing. But I still think, as I said, we never really got to grips for any part of the game today, and they were too good for us.
I know it can be tough on head coaches, managers like yourself as well. It must have been pretty lonely out there.
No, it's not an emotion I feel. Like I said, I'm disappointed we weren't able to sort of give a better account of ourselves today and give ourselves a chance to get to a final. What
about the mood in the dressing room with the players? Are they pretty crushed as well?
Yeah, very disappointed. We had a great opportunity, and unfortunately we didn't grab it.
OK, but you do go again, and you can benefit, I imagine, from experiences like this as a group of players, as squads. You have got players coming back as well. You've got the signings, you've got that support from up above. How much do you owe it to yourselves as a team, as a group of players, to get something out of this season, this second part of the season?
There's no choice, you have to. Still plenty to play for this year for us, and we've got a big game at Villa on Sunday, and that's where our focus goes.
Thank you for your time, Ange.
Thank you. Thanks.
Villa in the Cup on Sunday for Tottenham. That was the figure he cut this evening in the technical area. You look at the stats, Michael, and all of those Tottenham stats for a match are season lows.
Yeah. Bad reading. And he knows that. And when he comes out, you see him there. He was very, very honest to say that Liverpool dominated from start to finish. He needed more from his players. He looks lonely there on his own. And he's going through a challenging time. He's talked about injuries, but the players that are out there still have to be giving more than what they're given at this moment in time. The senior players, Son we've talked about for years and years in this Premier League, how good he's been. But when the going gets tough, which we've all been through it, you then have to look to your senior players and help them young players. Danzo was a positive tonight. I thought he came in for his first game. But believe me, that was a low night for Spurs.
Just look at your team. I've counted 8 internationals for Tottenham today. Yeah. 8. I mean, that's not an inexperienced team. The goalkeeper's even capped, I'm not sure. Maybe that makes it 9. But there's a lot of players...
He's an under-21 international, isn't
he? A lot of players, so you can't talk about not having experience. They know what it's like to come to Anfield and you have to suffer and make sure you compete and do the right things. But that was just, just shocking.
Do you wonder whether he knows whether to stick or twist at the moment with the football he wants them to play? There's been so much discussion on their style. The line isn't as high, is it? I mean, they aren't defending with as high a line. But so is he trying to adapt? But by trying to adapt, they're not as brave. And then we're talking about them maybe having to be brave tonight. I mean, is he caught between a rock and a hard place? I don't know.
I think so. I watched them at Goodison a few weeks ago. They went to a back 5 that night. There's no doubt that the full-backs aren't as adventurous in terms of the positions that they take up. He hasn't come here with like a number 10 more often than not. He's played that from when he first came in. So he's a manager. He's trying to find something, and whatever he's trying at the moment is not working. But this is not just this run. You've got to remember this goes back to last season. I think Tottenham have lost 20 of the last 45 games. It's an awful lot. You know, we're not far off. And I think in the Premier League, we're talking almost 50% of the games he's lost. Sort of going back. And I always think there was almost a line in the sand from a game on Monday Night Football when Tottenham played Chelsea at home. And they went down to 9 men. And he continued to play.
So
even going from last
season, yeah.
This is not just a problem this season. Tottenham had such a brilliant start to his first season. I think top of the league after 10 games. I think the Chelsea game might have been the 10th or the 11th game. And he continued to go with his idea even with 9 men. And since then, the record is horrendous for Tottenham. So it's not just a case of the injuries right now. And I've got sympathy for them, what they've gone through right now, and playing 18-year-old kids at different times. And the same players that have to play 90 minutes every week. So I get that. And for me, I'd like to see him get players back fit and be given till the end of the season. And I think the Europa League as a competition, they might be able to go far in, shall we say. But I think we've got to be careful and just talking about what's happened the last sort of 2 or 3 months in terms of injuries. It's not that. This is going back to last season.
It was fun. It always felt fun watching Tottenham for a while. You know, they had a player, we got, wasn't that exciting? You know, they lost, but we had a real go today. It's like that saying, when the fun stops, stop. And it has, like, that's what it's got to when I look at Tottenham. They're not fun, they're not enjoyable to watch.
But then we I don't think you were there. Were you there for the quarter final? It was us two for the quarter.
Yeah.
Sorry,
we were there.
Yeah, I do remember working with you. Right. But that quarter final, when they beat Manchester United 4-3, we had a great night that night. It was so entertaining, but we had a big discussion afterwards about whether you want to win 1-0 or 4-3.
Well, they beat.
But they beat. Really, but they difficult to know what people want.
You said this is where we're at the moment, Michael. But they beat Liverpool 1-0, and it's arguably they had a stronger side out tonight. I know Solanke played, but you still had like with that back 4. You bring in Danso to there, a bit more experience. Like I just couldn't believe that level of performance tonight, because I was just expecting more. I knew it was going to be difficult. I had no illusions. I don't think anybody has really expected that they would win tonight. But I felt that they would have a go and they'd try to lay a glove on them and they'd make things difficult. But that was just never in the game. I'm
not just saying this to try and make a headline, but actually I think of a cup tie Liverpool played at home a few weeks ago in the FA Cup. I think Accrington Stanley was in the FA Cup. Now, Liverpool didn't play the best team, don't get me wrong, but they gave more than Tottenham and caused Liverpool more of a problem in that game, and that's
you can see
right.
can see the fear in Spurs' dressing room there. Even Ange, to go to Goodison and play a back 5 in all the time, and people have questioned, will he change, will he change? Well, he changed because of the results and the performances, and even his self-belief. He must feel going, I'm going to go to a back 5. Why would you go to a back 5 at Goodison? not scoring goals, and you concede 3. They've scored 15 goals in the Premier League and scored 3 in 45 minutes. So you're making decisions.
I've been critical of the manager, but then if we're saying that he doesn't adapt and then he does do something.
Like that.
What I'm saying is, are you saying that he should always stick with his idea, no matter what, home or away? Because we can't criticise him for saying, oh, he doesn't adapt. Yeah. And when he does adapt and do something different, have a go at him for that. We can't have him go, but you can't have it both ways.
I was a little bit questionable why he went to a back 5. He's always played a back 4. You talk about the 3, which I was complimentary before. I thought he played a similar 3 in the first leg, and it worked without a number 10. Whereas tonight, I mean, they were just non-existent. Papa Sarr tried to get around, but you have to take the ball if you come somewhere like this.
You know, is that the manager tonight? Is that the manager? Is he tactically? Is he? What I'm saying is, I'm looking at individual players, and I've never been a manager, so my first thought is always I look at players first. I'd never really want to. I try as much as I possibly can to look at players and think if I was a player there playing in a semi-final. You're playing against the best team in Europe. It's going to be a tough game. No one really expects you to go through, but it's the manner of the defeat. When I look at those 3 midfield players, they're all big, strong, powerful lads who can run. I'm not saying they're the best players in the world, but I'm thinking if I'm playing in a semi-final, I'm hitting Curtis Jones early on. I'm not saying that in an old-fashioned way. We saw it from Newcastle last night. I saw Trippier early on in that game, and I knew straight away Newcastle were ready. They were going to make this as tough as they possibly could for Arsenal. And I know they were at home, but Tottenham didn't make that tough for Liverpool. That was one of the easiest games Liverpool have had this season.
Because it's not Postecoglou's fault that Bissouma gives the ball away for the first.
Of course, but it's never the man. That isn't the man.
No, but that's your point, isn't it?
I also think that there has to be a message that we are. When you keep losing the ball continuously in your own half and the keeper's playing out, we have to go. And I think that has to come from the players as well. You go, OK, let's try and turn them. Let's try and do something different because it was just coming, wave after wave. You kept losing the ball and you're asking for pressure. And that's where I think you've got to go wrong. And I tell you, it's like that, you've got to have a plan B. But that has to come from also the players have to take some responsibility. Like, look at your leader, your captain, Son, and he goes, like, he's been so good for Tottenham over his last few years, but I just don't see him as a captain. I just don't see that he really leads. I never see him, does he go, what's he going to bring you when you're really struggling? He doesn't like that type of player. And there's too many of them. And Jamie says it, when you talk about Tottenham, that culture, I mean, if I was a player, I'd hate to have that levelled at me. But that feels like it's always the stick that everyone beats Tottenham with. It's always about the culture or it's Spurs. It's what do you think
that's probably come down to recent weeks, certainly going to Everton. Then I watched them at Leicester, they're 1-0 up, give a goal away, turning the ball over in their own half, and then within 10 minutes, they're 2-1 down and they lose a game. To a team that had lost 7 on the bounce in the Premier League, and you're talking about Ruud van Nistelrooy. And it's just... It's a knock-on effect for them, and I see them out there as players. They look shot to pieces. When a team gets on top of them and they're overrun, they can't change the wave, and that was what happened tonight. They couldn't change the wave that Liverpool were on, far superior, and they can't compete at this level. When you come up against a team like Liverpool, you have to find something. You have to have a fight and a determination. I didn't see that tonight.
I know you mentioned Accrington Stanley. Do you take into account that it was a free hit for Accrington Stanley, whereas Tottenham came here with more pressure on them because they had a 1-0 lead?
Listen, yeah, I get that and understand that it was Liverpool's best team and Liverpool are going to give it more. I get that, but it's just... I think even when sort of promoted teams come to Anfield, you know, they probably wouldn't play with that fear. They come with a 1-goal lead as well. You know, there was a... I don't know. I just think of, you know, teams who've sort of come to Anfield and try and make it difficult. That was so easy, but it just goes back to that stereotype that we all have with Tottenham. And to be honest, over the years, sometimes when I'm analysing Tottenham on, you know, on Sky, and I love the Pochettino team, it had steel about it, but that probably the best Tottenham team you've probably had since the early 80s when they were winning FA Cups and UEFA Cup. And that team still couldn't get over the line. You know, there's definitely a mental block with the club. It's not just this set of players and the manager. It goes back a long time. But even when I was a kid watching football, there was this stereotype, as I said, about Tottenham. And right now, that is a typical Tottenham team. People say, the fans have got Spurs back, or we've got our club back. Yeah, they've got the club back that we all we feel like we've watched for 40 years. That's what they feel like they've got back, where they're basically nice on the eye when things are going well. You never expect them to win anything, don't win a big game, and when they get beat badly.
That must infuriate you. It must have infuriated you when you played if that was levelled, because you're not responsible for what's happened in the past.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And when I speak,
so this group of players aren't responsible for what's happened.
Yeah,
in the past.
and it will hurt them. I go back to Poch's time when I left. That was a group of players where you go, they should have won something. I believe that. And so when you're always spoke about, I was in the squad that we won in 2008, and it blows my mind that I haven't won anything since. And so when you hear this, and even as an ex-player, you're thinking, wow, that's damaging, that's hurts you. Of course it does, because a club like this, but then you've got to realise where the club is at and what you're competing against. That is the truth. They've come to Anfield tonight, and I was one of those people who said to you when I walked in, what's it going to be like? Worried, fearful, because Liverpool, they do it, they're winners. They know how to do it. They've done it for year after year, and that's why it's been so hard for Spurs in recent years to get over the line and win something.
And in case you're wondering, Liverpool are the winners, and they have won this evening, and we haven't really touched on them yet because they are in another final. they are in a final. They are the holders of the League Cup, and they'll be back at Wembley next month. So we will have more reaction and more interviews to their 4-0 win here at Anfield when we come back after the break. Arne Slot has seen his Liverpool team make it through to another League Cup final. It's his first since taking over at the club. His captain got one of the goals, and he's with Juliet Farrington.
Virgil, as a team, you were absolutely on it tonight, weren't you? I know you needed that comeback, but it was a comeback and then some.
Yeah, you need a complete performance. I still think at half-time we could get a level up in terms of the intensity and put them even more under pressure, and that's what I've said as well. But you know, to win here like we did tonight is great for the team, for the club, and now we focus on the FA Cup. But obviously we're very pleased to go to Wembley again.
You say that and talk about intensity, but the intensity was there right from the very off. How much more could you or have wanted to get out of it?
Well, listen, I think you wanted to start obviously with loads of intensity, and I think the game got interrupted a couple of times in the first half, so it ruins a little bit of momentum that was there. But you know, we still did it now and then. But I felt like we could do a little bit more and make it even more uncomfortable for them, because obviously we know that they have the quality to play out, or they want to play through the middle, and they have these patterns and stuff. And if you bring the intensity to the game, then anyone can make mistakes. And I think the second half we did that, and a beautiful win today.
In fairness, it's like as if you just squeezed the life out of them. You suffocated them.
Well, that's what we try to do each and every game. But listen, nights like this, where there's a lot of things at stake. Obviously, going to a final again, we don't take that for granted. I wanted to go there. We all wanted to go there again with the fans, and it was a great team performance, and really enjoyed it.
Can I ask you about Mo's penalty? That was like picture perfect, wasn't it?
Yeah, outstanding. I think no goalkeeper would have saved that. Obviously, very important, clinical, and important again.
And you yourself getting in on the act, just like you did in the final last year, winning the Carabao Cup, lifting the Carabao Cup, and getting on the score sheet to send you on your way there again tonight.
Yeah, listen, it's always a proud moment to be on the score sheet and be important for the group. And finally, obviously, it's a lot of work going on behind the scenes to try be more clinical in front of goal with corners, set pieces, etc. And it's never always that easy, but today I finally could have scored a goal again.
Is it fair to say that this season couldn't be going any better? I mentioned to Cody Gakpo, as he was player of the match, that everything just seems to be falling into place, the targets you want to achieve as a group of players.
Well, we're in February now, and
it sets you up nicely, though, doesn't it?
Obviously, we can't complain about the situation we're in, and we won't. But the main thing is we should not take any of that for granted. We should keep working each and every day for it, and don't be easy on each other. And I don't see any of that happening because I will be on top of it with the managers as well. But it's about just staying calm, work our socks off, try to show our quality, defend with everything that we have as a team, and focus on ourselves. And I think that's the main thing. Just don't worry about others. And I think that's the only key to success this season, because you can only influence what we do and not what others do. So let's go for it, enjoy it, and we'll see.
The future in terms of yourselves, though, and yourself as well, it just looks so good this season, doesn't it?
Well, the only thing I'm focusing on is the game ahead of me, and I'm feeling good. I think everyone can see that. And what the future brings at the moment, I've got no idea. So anyone who says they know it, they are absolutely wrong. But we'll see what happens.
It brings a final, for sure.
Well, that's definitely on the schedule. So we'll focus on that when the time is there. Now we focus on the FA Cup on the weekend. That's a quick turnaround as well. But we have to be ready for that as well.
Good stuff. Enjoy your evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That's 2 Liverpool interviews we've had now. I would describe them both as steely determination, really.
Yeah. But what a player to have. Like, you talk about having good senior players and what clubs are searching for. Somebody said, if it goes wrong, I'll be on top of them, as with the manager. That's exactly what you need. You know, he's a phenomenal player, makes the game look so easy. I mean, it's very difficult to come up with any more plaudits with a guy. He's that good. But you can see what it takes, and you know when you've got him there. And that's why it's so important that somehow Liverpool tie him down, because he's such an important player at the club.
But you know what I mean, Michael? It's like we thought they dominated the first half, and yet he's saying he's going into the change room at half-time and saying, look, that isn't intense enough.
Standards, leadership, he's got everything. He's the best for me. The way he conducts himself, the way he does the interview there, the way he performs, and everyone just follows. He is the leader of that pack, and they just waving his arms, dictating on the pitch. And when he speaks, they listen. You can just tell. And he's phenomenal. Honestly, they are. Where would they be if they didn't have him? Since he's come in from Southampton, there has not been a better centre-half anywhere in the world, in my opinion.
We talk about what has changed under Arne Slot, where tweaks may have been. And one of the things that you were saying, particularly when we look at the first goal as well, is far post goals.
Yeah, whether it's just, you know, an anomaly this season or something, you know, the way the team play. But how often have you seen Mo Salah in that situation with the outside of his left foot find someone at the back post, more often than not Gakpo? And it might just be a quirk this season, I don't know, but it's happened an awful lot. But Jamie, you were really impressed with the role of Curtis Jones there, weren't you? That well, you think it takes the defender away?
I think it just floods the box. You just get extra people in there. He shows a bit of energy. Look, no one's really matching that run. Danso's got a problem as well, and the ball comes to him at the back post. And I just think he catches the eye. And it's a really good finish. It's not an easy one, but it's a confident player's finish. As it falls to him, you just know what's going to happen. It's going to go into the bottom corner. And that's the kind of form that Cody Gakpo's in right now. I have to be honest, when they first signed him, I wasn't sure. I thought, yeah, he looks an OK player. Where's he going to play? Is he going to be a number 9? Is he going to play off the sides? He had a couple of good moments. Obviously, when Liverpool beat Manchester United here, I think he scored a few goals, and you thought, OK, that could be his moment. But since this manager's come in, Arne Slot, he's just taken his game to another level. He looks like so powerful right now, scoring goals, making goals. And he's just taken his game to another level.
Liverpool didn't sign anyone, really, for the first team in the summer. There was a lot of disgruntled Liverpool fans, not just in the summer, in January as well. The fact that Liverpool hadn't signed anyone. But a big part that I feel like gets really undervalued is what a new coach can do to the group of players that he's got. And a big part, they're not managers now, they're coaches, especially Arne Slot is titless coach. And a big thing of what he's done is what he's done with Gravenberch and what he's done with Gakpo. Where Gakpo now, I think he's the best left-sided attacker in the Premier League. I don't think there's anyone performing better than him. Jurgen Klopp used to use him centrally, almost trying to make him the new Firmino, if you like. And I was a bit like with Jamie when he first came in. Gakpo didn't really see it. I thought it was almost the Premier League was a little bit too quick for him. But he knows him a lot better than probably any of us from his time in Holland. Played him in his preferred position on that left-hand side, and right now there's nobody performing better.
It takes some bravery, though, doesn't it, to hold your nerve as a football club and go, right, let's see what our coach, particularly we've got a new sporting director as well, right, let's see what our coach is going to do with this group of players. I think Chiesa is the only outfield player they've signed in 3 transfer windows. Yeah,
and he's brought in really just if Mo Salah misses a game, and touch wood, that doesn't happen too often. But there is criticism of Liverpool in terms of bringing players in. I'm not part of that criticism because I just think what they have done over the last 7 or 8 years under Jurgen Klopp and now with Slot, they hold the nerve, they very rarely make mistakes, and I think when you panic buy and you do things, you know, on the off, or you're searching for players, you look at Tottenham now, and I understand, you know, with the injuries, and they just all of a sudden get the centre-back from, feels like nowhere. Liverpool don't do that, and they back themselves, and they're brave enough, and you know, to do that with a new manager and not bring anyone in. And that's not just them, that was the manager. He said, I haven't seen enough of this squad, I don't know the squad of players yet. There was tournaments in the summer, they're all coming back late for pre-season. I want to assess the squad that I've got, and it's been an absolute masterstroke.
We're at the opposite end to the Kop here, but you could see from our vantage point, you could see the penalty coming in slow motion not far off, couldn't you?
Yeah, you could. Another ball by Salah in behind the defenders, and as soon as Kinsey's coming out, I'm like, oh no, here he comes. And Nunes does brilliant, just that little touch. He tries to pull out Kinsey there, but he's too committed, and then as soon as he catches, it's the right decision, and an easy one for the referee.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. You know, he just gets there, he knows what he wants to do. I did feel for Mo, he looked quite nervous taking this penalty, didn't he, lads?
Yeah.
I mean,
kind of scuffed it a bit, didn't he?
Oh, my goodness, he'd have stepped that and we still wouldn't have got that one. Just unbelievable.
It's amazing how he just changes from the weekend where he put his laces through it, and this one, wow, look at that one.
Beautiful.
That's for Mo Salah, 50 games for Liverpool in all competitions where he's got a goal and an assist in the same game. Phenomenal.
I mean, does that put him ahead of everybody else?
Yeah, a long way. I think Steven Gerrard might be second in that on 27, so there's a big difference. But another feature under Arne Slot is this run from full-backs. This time it's Conor Bradley. You see that inside run, gets on the ball late, and Szoboszlai scores. And for me, I think Szoboszlai should get more goals and assists, but you know, his running power is fantastic. But this has been a real feature of Arne Slot, whether it's Trent Alexander-Arnold, Conor Bradley here, Andy Robertson on the other side, and Tsimikas, the full-backs making underlaps, if you like, going inside, and the wide players holding the width. Fantastic. This time he gets the ball and gets his assist. He was outstanding tonight, Conor Bradley.
Which actually, I don't want to go back over the whole Trent Alexander-Arnold contract situation, but it actually makes what they do at full-back going forward quite on both flanks, actually. Let's be, there's lots of rumours they're looking for a left wing-back, full-back as well. So what they do this summer, going back to transfer market, will be quite interesting, bearing in mind what Slot wants his full-backs to do.
We've seen enough Conor Bradley. Anyone that understands football will realise he's a tremendous talent, and if he were to leave Trent, you've got a great right back for years to come. He's athletic, he's aggressive. There's been a couple of moments this year with Mbappe, and he made a tackle. I can't remember who it was on today. Was it Son? And
yeah, there was one down here.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
You know, he's fearless. You know, you can see that he's got the world at his feet, and he's got that. When young players that come through at this club, they just have that bit of like spite about, a bit of aggression in the nicest possible way, and I love the way that he plays. And I think that goal as well, as much as it was good from Liverpool, I always remember going back to football, we play pattern of play, somewhat a shadow play against when there's nobody up against you. When you see this goal, if you took the Tottenham players out off the pitch, there is not one person that even once this ball turns over now, and this is at 2-0, you're right in the game, look, no pressure on him. Where's Son? He's miles away. Now you look at the space he's going to play this ball into here. I mean, you've got a gap between the two centre-backs. It's just unbelievable. It's like you play shadow play without anyone marking you, Michael. Where is everybody here?
It's brilliant. The way McAllis here, I'm thinking, played first time, he takes an extra touch. Then this pass from Bradley first time, if he doesn't do it first time, he doesn't get the opportunity.
No, but it's good from Liverpool, Tottenham's point of view.
Oh, yeah, from Tottenham's point of view. But the run where Salah takes Gray away, and then, I mean, take nothing away from Liverpool. That goal is perfect. It's as if you play PlayStation.
There's only one man connected with Liverpool who doesn't want Trent Alexander-Arnold to sign a contract, and it's Conor Bradley. But if Trent was to move on, yeah, you talk about big squads and 2 players for each squad, and you need to bring a defender in. I don't think Liverpool should go and buy, you know, a big right back, if you like, for a lot of money. What that lad's done whenever he's come in and filled in for Trent, even at last season, has been that good, his performances. If that's his performance level, if that's his level, there's not many better right-backs in the Premier League from what we've seen of Conor Bradley, and maybe he's probably close to maybe 40 or 50 appearances for Liverpool now. So that lad needs to be given his head. He's performed too well to someone else come in and sort of be the first choice right-back. Maybe you'd bring in a utility player who could do a bit of right-back and centre-back, but Conor Bradley, if Trent moves on, needs to be Liverpool's right-back.
And you know what I like about him? Jamie's exactly right. He can defend, and he enjoys defending, which a lot of right-backs don't now, but he also can get forward, and he has quality when he goes forward. Like with Trent's Trent is like his passing is up with with Beckham's and Kevin De Bruyne's. You'll never find anyone like that. It's totally unique. But you've got a young man here at your disposal. You don't, and they're clever enough. Jamie mentioned it. We've got Richard Hughes. People they understand a good player when they see one. They've not got to go out and spend crazy money on someone. If you can get someone that's just going to maybe fill in, and maybe can come to right back if you need it. But he is an absolute gem that they've got in their midst here.
We can look at the fourth goal as well on Van Dijk. I mean, if Van Dijk gets a leap on you or run on you, you can't do anything about it, can you?
Oh, he's a man mountain in the scene here. As soon as he just does that check, gets behind Ben Davies and Danzo, and he's just too big. I mean, Danzo's a big boy, but when I was looking out there, I mean, he just towers above him and that leap. Great delivery in. But he just has that detail. I love this little check from Van Dijk here. You see Danzo, you're thinking, oh, no. Then Canate blocks him, and as soon as he's in that position, I mean, Virgil van Dijk, he is... I said it 10 minutes ago, I think he's the best centre-back in the Premier League history. I really do. I think he's that good.
We're not starting that one again, are we?
You what?
That one again. That's honestly.
You're not going to try and get a but you've got to get a block on him, haven't you?
You have to try and stop him before he does a run, because as soon as he's got a check, then Canate blocks you. As soon as he's got a run on you, you're in big trouble. You have to try and get close to him. So, but even then, it's hard because now you grapple and you hold, then it goes to VAR and you're in big trouble against him.
I think when I watch Van Dijk, and I have done now for 7 years or something, he's been at Liverpool. When you think of the Premier League, I think we'd all agree it's probably the best league in the world. And then you've got Champions League football. That's the highest level. I think that's higher than international football, World Cups and Euros. He's too good for the highest level of football. If you know what I mean? It's almost like still too easy for him. It almost feels like there should be another level above that for Van Dijk. Because he plays the game with such ease that it's like the biggest games coming up. I watch him here against Haaland. And Haaland's the best goal scorer around, a big, powerful lad, got pace, and it's like it doesn't even feel like he's trying.
He plays everything at his pace. He plays everything at his pace.
I'm trying to think what level of football is there where he's actually look where he's at. He'd have to like go to ground and make a block or really sprint. I mean, has he sprinted in the game today?
Well, he never does.
He doesn't.
He never, because he puts himself in a position even when there's time. He reads the game. And I think, are you going to lunge? And he never gets dirty. He looks immaculate at the end of it because he cruises through it. He looks where the ball's going to go. His position. He gets people in. He's always talking. Players in front of him. Then when he has it, he just stands on, as calm. It's a diagonal ball to Salah. He plays it to Robbo. I mean, he just oozes class. Everything about him.
You said before he's the best in the Premier League, and the thing about this, he is the best, but it's not even a debate. This nonsense about like all the other defenders who are great defenders, and I played with a lot of them. He's so far above it. It's a joke. The football is that easy for him watching it. I've never seen a player that at ease, probably in any position really, not just at centre back. It's a walk in the park for him.
Arne Slot has taken Liverpool into his first final. They are back at Wembley to defend the trophy they won last year under Jurgen Klopp, and we will hear from the Dutchman next.
Arne, would that be fair to say it was your biggest night at Anfield so far this season?
Because it results to a final, yes, maybe. But I think we had some big nights here already with Leverkusen, with City, with Madrid, and probably I forget a few. But yeah, to reach a final should always be special, and that is also what it is. So yeah, in that perspective, it's been the most special evening.
To reach a final as well early in the season is something that you're not used to, are you, as a coach, as a manager?
No, in Holland we only have one cup competition, and that final is played in the end of the season. So yeah, that's a new experience, but it's a nice one to have. It's a special stadium for English people, but also for Dutch people, because we know the history of that stadium and the history of a final as well, of a League Cup final. So I'm very pleased to go there, but we also know that we are going to face a very, very tough opponent, because I saw them yesterday and I saw them this season. We already played them once. They're a very good team, but they're going to face a very good team as well.
You're also defending champions, though, going into that final against Newcastle. Talking to Virgil van Dijk, he was saying that could have done a little bit better in the first half. He talked about a little bit more intensity, but watching that performance tonight, it was just wave after wave of pressure.
Yeah, but I agree with him.
So picky.
But we also have to take into account that in the first half there were many injury moments. So it's difficult to get intensity in the game when there are so many injury moments. Players are on the floor needing treatment. But we controlled the game really well. I think it took them for 80 minutes before they had their first shot on target. And we were finding gaps in their last line more and more and more. So it was a very good performance from our side.
And how do you keep that work rate going? Because people talk about this competition and how it can set you up for the run-in that obviously you are at this moment in time involved in as well. But for all the other competitions that you're involved in?
Yeah, there are many games to be played, but we were lucky, or maybe not lucky, it was out of quality that we were already qualified after 6 games in the Champions League. So the 7th game we could already rotate a bit and give players rest at halftime. The 8th game we didn't play many of them. So we are still able to rotate. I said yesterday, this is a league where you play the most games, but you're only able to take 20 players and not 23. I want to add to that if you can take 23, you also take more academy players to the game. So if there was an opportunity today for 23 players, I would have taken 1 or 2 academy players and they probably would have come in as well. So that's an extra reason for me to say here in England, why don't we go to 23? Because then academy players gets more chances as well. But maybe that's not the moment to talk about that now.
Although you did say in the build-up to this in your press conference yesterday that you think when you can't take the amount of players that you want to, that's the hardest decision that you have to make.
It is, because if you play so many games, you can't do it with 20 players. So you need more players, and we are in a fortunate situation that we have more than 20 players fit. But that's one side of the story. The other side is that if a club like us should always have 20, 21, 22 first team players, and then behind it there are academy players. And if we are able to take more than 20 players to the game, then I think academy players get more chances as well for playing time, because a game like today would have been an ideal moment to give them some playing time. So it's something to think about, but it's not the first thing that comes to my mind at this moment.
Obviously not. Something to think about for the weekend, though? In another cup competition you've got coming up?
Yeah, away game on Sunday, and 3 days later, of course, it's a big game again. So, yeah, there's only one, I would say, downside to us reaching the final, and that is that we have to play Villa during the week. But yeah, being successful creates even more games, and that's why we've trained them to play many games. So let's not talk negative about it. It's a positive thing, because I think players like to play games. They get stronger, in my opinion, by playing games, and that's also what you see at the moment with us.
Try and enjoy it for at least a moment tonight.
I will. Thank you.
Taking it all in his stride. Yes, they were due to play Villa in the Premier League the weekend of the Carabao Cup final, so that obviously has to get rescheduled. Champions League last 16 is the week leading up to the Carabao Cup final as well, so they've got that. Newcastle, if you just want to know the other dates as well, Newcastle come here at the end of February as well, so just to paint the picture of everything that's going on, plus the derby next week.
Yeah, this could be a really, really special season for Liverpool, and they've been in this situation where the 4 trophies are still available at this stage of the season. I think twice in the last 3 or 4 years under Jurgen Klopp, and they come away with 2 Carabao Cups and an FA Cup. They didn't win the big ones under Klopp, so they won. You know, they lost the Champions League final. They lost to City later on in the last game of the season, and last season they just won the Carabao and missed out on the league. The most important thing is to win the big trophies, and the 2 biggest ones are the league and the Champions League. Now, they're in a great position for a final. They'll probably go into that game as favourites. But this has the potential to be an amazing season. But when you talk about next week in the Merseyside derby, that is the biggest game of the season. Not because it's Everton, because Liverpool have been talking about a game in hand. It feels like now for about 2 months. You know, they are the gap with Arsenal and the game in hand. The game in hand is next week. If Everton win that, I mean, hold on, don't say that. If Liverpool win that, they're almost got one hand on the trophy. A 9-point lead with, what are we talking, maybe 13, 14 games to go, is a huge league with the form that Liverpool are in right now. So the final to come, and if they could win next week, psychologically, I think it's a massive boost for Liverpool, but also psychologically what that would do to Arsenal. I don't think many people at Arsenal would believe they could pull that back as a huge lead at this stage of the season.
But just going back to what you were saying then, if Everton win that...
Oh, don't say that. I can't think of anything worse.
Although it is a very different game in hand than it was when it was the actual game in December, isn't it? I mean, a lot of things have changed.
Things have changed, but it's always difficult. It's always difficult going to Everton, and they are always a tough side. But it's the biggest game, like James says, because it's the game in hand. You want to make sure you capitalise on it, make it count. And you're talking about all the games they've got to play. This game's getting moved, that game's getting moved. That's the price of success. And that's what you want at a club like Liverpool. You know, they're in a fantastic position. Everything is looking so good for them. Can they capitalise on it? Can they do something unprecedented and win 4 trophies? Personally, I think you're never going to get a better chance. I genuinely mean that. I think they're in such a strong position. I think with teams that they've made, you know, obviously Man City aren't really in the equation this season. The level in the Champions League hasn't been as high. And Liverpool right now, Jamie said it, the best team in Europe, arguably the best team in the world right now. But things can change really quickly. It only takes 1 or 2 injuries to just maybe destabilise that. But right now, they will look at it and it's almost beyond his wildest dreams. When he come here, after following someone like Jurgen Klopp, he was just hoping it would go well. You know, maybe my personally, as a Liverpool fan, thinking, probably take top 4, maybe nick a cup. But for him to do what he's done this season is absolutely phenomenal. And I love the way he talks. He never gets too excited. He says it as it is. He talks a lot of common sense. You can tell he's a student of the game, but he's been magnificent.
Let's very quickly, the three of you, just look ahead to that final. As I say, Newcastle come here at the end of February. They drew 3-3 at St James's Park earlier this season. How do you see the final, which is still admittedly a month away?
Yeah, there's a lot of football still to be played before then. Form can change for both teams. I think Newcastle will have had the experience what they had when they lost to Manchester United. They've been there. They know how that felt. But I mean, Liverpool will be going into, at this moment in time, into the final of favourites. Of course they will, because they're the top of the Premier League, the way they're playing. But, I mean, Eddie Howe and that Newcastle team, you saw what they did last night. It'll certainly be a final I'll be tuning into.
I can't wait. We've spoken a lot about Virgil, but there is one player that Virgil can have problems with, and that's Alexander Isak.
Particularly on what we saw last night.
Everyone has problems with Isak,
yeah.
But that will be an absolute blockbuster. Those two up against each other. Midfield of Newcastle are incredibly strong. I thought Eddie Howe was magnificent today. You know, there's no way he'd have brought his Newcastle team and they'd have sat off Liverpool if it was the opposite, you know, and they're in that position. So I think it's going to be a perfect final. It's going to be great. 2 of the best fan bases in English football. The noise is going to be phenomenal. It's a final we all can't wait to see.
I think Liverpool will win.
Do you think? I mean, look, there are going to be lots of other battles as well as that. But do you think that is the Isak Van Dijk battle is the key battle?
Yeah, but I think the big one would be in midfield. If I'm being totally honest, I think Newcastle's midfield's fantastic. And what you think, you know, Liverpool's midfield play, they won't have it as easy as that. They're aggressive, they're big. Joe Linton will be back. He didn't play last night, but that 3 in midfield for Newcastle, I think, can go up against any midfield in the country. And you look at Liverpool's right now, as good as anyone. They're probably the matchup. You probably got, as you said, the best centre forward, be the best centre back right now. But probably the the top midfields, I would think, in the country. And you know, if Newcastle would have to get a grip of Liverpool in that midfield to give themselves a chance.